How you doing? So, bit of a change this week. Before we get into it, I'm just going to point out that I've started a hashtag that I would love for you guys to use. So if you are a photographer and you used Instagram, please go over there, take some snaps, upload them to Instagram and use the hashtag MBPics2020. That way I can have a little look at them and we can start sharing some of our own work. Be absolutely fantastic to start seeing some of your work on that hashtag. But let's get into this week's video. I'm going to show you a cool little technique so you can turn a photograph like this into something like this. So let's get to it. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another video. My name is Nathan and welcome to Benham Media. It is such a joy to see all of your faces today. I hope you enjoy this video. Like I said, I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, but I did have another video planned. I was going to try to re-edit a video that I sort of tried making a couple of days ago, but after 2 weeks, it just wasn't working. It really wasn't. There was something wrong with the format of the cards, and once I tried to export it, it just went. So I've put my old thinking cap on and had a bit of thoughts of what type of tutorial I could do for you this week. What I'm going to teach you today is mainly how to use a particular tool within Photoshop. You don't need to use it for what I'm going to use it today, but once you've got an idea in your head on how it works and what you can use it for, it opens up all sorts of doors and opportunities for you as well. So what I'm going to use it within this particular tutorial is that I'm going to take a nice color photograph and I'm going to do a nice little 50-50 split from color into black and white using the gradient tool within Photoshop. And it's a brilliant little tool you can use. It pretty much sort of like makes a nice smooth transition from two photographs. If you've got them overlapped each other on top, it will sort of like bring one back a little bit like that. So you can see the one behind it and the one in front of it, and it gives it like a nice little fade. It is, the possibilities are endless. Endless. The possibilities are endless on what you can do with this. So without further ado, we're gonna dive straight into Photoshop and show you how I do this. Okay, so this is the photograph that we're gonna use for this example. It's a nice empty photograph of a marketplace in South London. So one of the first things I'm gonna do is I'm gonna right click on this layer and I'm going to convert to a smart object. This is so I can manipulate the photograph without actually damaging it so much. So smart object is a really, really good way to start off your edits within Photoshop. So once that's done, you've got this little icon in the corner. Now I'm going to come up to filter and into camera raw filter. Now, Camera Raw Filter, think of this as Lightrooms, but within Photoshop. So you've got all of the usual subjects and panels down the side here. So we're gonna go into basic, and we're just gonna play around with the basic settings slide. So I'm gonna bring the temperature up a little bit, leave the tint it is, I'm gonna leave the exposure where it is, but I'm gonna bring the contrast up. I'm gonna bring the highlights right down to get rid of this peaking at the top. Bring up the shadows slightly, bring down the whites as well, and bring up the blacks ever so small. Coming down to texture, I'm gonna bring the texture up a little bit to about 10 or 11, and I'm gonna bring the clarity down, and that way it's sort of like fighting each other with that vibrance. We'll bring up to about 20 maybe, there we go. And I'm gonna go into the curves, and I'm just gonna bring 3 anchor points into the curves, and do a simple little S-curve in that, just like that. And that's all I'm gonna do. Bring a little bit of character within that photograph and click OK. I'm just gonna wait for that to load in. And there we are. So it just brings a little bit of depth. So if you haven't edited it already, you can do that within Photoshop. So next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click and drag this onto the new layer, like that. So I've now got 2 layers. I'm I'm gonna double click on the bottom layer. I'm gonna call that C for color. I'm gonna double click on the top layer. I'm gonna go BW for black and white, just like that. And now I'm gonna click on the adjustments layer icon. I'm gonna click on the black and white. So I'm gonna turn the top layer black and white. I'm just gonna hit the auto. Just let Photoshop decide how that's gonna work. What I am gonna do is, well, I'm gonna clip it, because at the moment, this black and white is affecting all layers underneath it. I only want to affect the black and white layer. So I'm gonna clip it like that. And if I turn that off now, you will see the top layer is black and white and it's not affecting the bottom layer. Now this is where the trick comes in. So we're gonna come down to this tool right here and the Graduate tool. Click on that. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw a line across my photograph, but because I want it to be a straight line, and you want to make sure the black and white layer mask is highlighted, if you go to one side of your photograph, hold down the Shift key, and as you drag it across, no matter where you put your mouse, that line will stay completely straight. Go to the other side of the photograph and release. And there you go. So we've got a color photograph and a black and white photograph, but I want it the other way. So I'm gonna go Control Z, hold down my Shift key and drag it to the other side like that, because I want the right-hand side of the photograph to become color. There we go. So we've got the color green door and it gradually goes in to the black and white. So this side is black and white, as you can see, it just do it. So what that's doing, so whatever is black in this layer mask is see-through, transparent. What is white will show this. So we're seeing the right-hand side of the color photograph and the left-hand side of the black and white, just like that. And that is the effect. And you can use this in many ways, many photographs. But what I'm gonna do here, so I've got this little group here called couple. So I'm gonna unclick the eyeball. So you've now got this, you see. And the purpose of that was that you've got like a nice Second World War type photo. This is a very famous photograph, so we all know from Times Square. I've borrowed it, I've added a shadow to make it look a little bit more realistic. And it looks like that this photograph was taken back during the Second World War, and this is nowadays, and that's pretty much it. So what I want to do now is going to bring a little bit of blur into the black and white side of it, because I want it to sort of like fit the characters in the foreground. So making sure my black and white is selected, I'm going to go up to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and I'm not going to blur it much. I'm going to blur it about 5 pixels. Probably not even that, probably about 3, there we go. And hit OK, because this photograph is a little bit blurry, see? So I'm going to let that work in. Right, so I don't want this side to be blurry, so I'm going to come down here and create a layer mask on this side. I'm going to use the same tool, and I'm going to go hold down my shift it across, just like that, and release, and there we are. So now this side is sharp as a pin, this side is slightly blurry to sort of work a little bit better with the foreground characters. And that's it, that is literally the effect, and this is such a cool way of using this tool that you can actually just sort of slowly bring an effect across a particular photograph or photographs. And that's it, nice and simple, nice and easy. And like I said before, like this is such a nice tool to use that once you have an idea of what it does, you can start, when you play around and you start taking photographs, you go, oh my God, I can use that tool to manipulate these photographs, and you'll probably spend more time editing the photograph that you plan to use this tool on than what you actually do with this tool. It's just a quite little sit line across and a nice little fade in as well. And of course, I did a little bit of play with Photoshop and brought another picture in, but it has given me myself an idea of doing a photo shoot with 2 different eras either side, and then using the filter or the tool to sort of like transition the photograph. So instead of trying to put 2 photographs together, an old photograph and an up-to-date photograph, you can manipulate it by actually having people dressed up. And that's the idea that I've had by just experimenting with this particular tool, really. But that's it for this week. Nice and easy, nice and simple, nice, done and dusted. Quick little tutorial by using this particular tool, by using just one part of Photoshop, which means you can make excellent photographs without actually knowing too much, like that. If you would like to know more about Photoshop, please drop them in the comments. Let me know what you would like to learn, and I will see if I can try to teach you the best I can. As of course we'll say, we are all learning. Since lockdown, I have learned so much about Photoshop. I've had to play with old photographs and try to bring new art from old material. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed every step of it, and I believe coming out of lockdown and being able to go out and shoot again, I've become a better editor because of it. I'm not just a shoot and go photographer anymore. I now know how to make sensational photographs from mediocre shots, I suppose. You know, and I'm not afraid to admit that. You know, like I've gone through a few photographs through my past in these last few months, and you know, there are photographs that I probably wouldn't take today. So happy to know your thoughts, happy to read all of your comments, so get them down there. While you're down there typing away, how about giving this video a nice little bit of a like, and also hit that subscribe button as well. It means a lot to me. That way you'll be notified by all sorts of videos that we make here at Benin Media. If you haven't already, head over to my social media, which will be floating around this little corner. And until next time, I will see you in the next video. I've been Nathan, you've been sensational. Thank you and goodbye. Mwah, mwah, mwah.